The Politics podcast brought to you as always by everybody who supports us at TakePoliticsSeriously.com. Hey, you want to know who took politics fucking seriously this week? This goddamn show. Want to know why? Because I did 3 shows for y'all this week. I did 2 interviews for you, and now I'm doing this one. I had to bump this episode a day just to make sure that we got all the thrilling conclusion to this shutdown fiasco. But I did an interview with Dave Leventhal talking about money and politics. I did an interview with a professor at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee in media studies talking about the role that Wisconsin will play that it did play in 2016, that it did play in the midterms, and what it's likely going to play in 2020, including some of the nooks and crannies, the smaller issues that might have macro consequences, considering how much Wisconsin played a role in 2016. It's a weird stage. You know, they voted for Ted Cruz and Bernie Sanders in the primary, and then the big upset was Donald Trump in the general. You can hear all about it for free right here on the show. By the way, if you're on Spotify, you can listen to it there. The Politics show. Listen to it on Spotify now. But I'll tell you what, if you go over to TakePoliticsSeriously.com, which brings you to our Patreon page, and you become a $3 a week member, then you didn't get 3 podcasts. You're going 5 wide, baby! Yes, 1 podcast for each day of the week. The 2 minisodes on Monday and Friday, and then, of course, 2 interviews, one mic version. I'm doing my best. I'm trying to give you all the content that you deserve. If you think that that's worth some money, well, head on over there right now. TakePoliticsSeriously.com. Also, if you're going to be in the South by Southwest area over March 9th, that is the first weekend of South by Southwest Interactive. Me and Brian Brushwood are doing a live Night Attack show along with the Ice Cream Social podcast. Tickets are available. bit.ly/Night Attack Austin. All lowercase. Enough talking about how we support the show, though. What do you say we just do the damn thing? I had to wait a day. Folks. When you look at my license, it might not say Peter Parker or Miles Morales, but I had a spidey sense of tingling in me yesterday as I was setting up for the show, getting ready to do this fine program that I'm like, you want to know what a benefit of doing a podcast is? I don't have to do it at the same exact time every day. I don't have to do it at the same exact time every week. So I'm going to go ahead and use my executive privilege to delay this show 24 hours because I think it's going to be a fairly crucial 24 hours in politics. And holy shit, was it? Our national nightmare is over. We no longer have a problem when it comes to a national government shutdown. But yet we have the dawning of a whole new brouhaha. Friends, welcome to Emergency Declaration Panic. Oh, we're going to get into all that. We are going to get into the fact that the Green New Deal is everything to everyone. In fact, on Valentine's Day, we are doing this show on Valentine's Day. It is amazing that the Democrats and the Republicans in the Senate both love the same bill. Oh, isn't it so sweet? Democrats are trampling over each other to support it. The Republicans want to vote on it, but whether it were it's so simple, they still hate each other. We'll talk about that. Beto's running for Senate now. Joe Biden's almost certainly in for 2020. A little note about Trump's nicknaming habit and why William Barr being confirmed as the Attorney General is probably our biggest sign that we have the Mueller report incoming sooner rather than later. All that, including the pole dance and emails. But we begin with the big news. It's over. It's over. You know, we had a deal on the table right before New Year's where the question was, is Donald Trump? Donald Trump was kind of half inclined to sign it, and then caught a lot of shit from the immigration hawk right on oh, no, you can't. Listen, if you don't build a wall now, here's what all this boiled down to. If you don't build a wall now, you ain't never going to build a wall. That was it. Homie, you spent 2 years straight jacking it. Oh, let's do tax reform. Oh, let's repeal Obamacare. Oh, let's do this. Oh, let's do that. Now, tax reform might have got you some cheers. Repealing Obamacare might have got those crowds all riled up, but they were not chanting, repeal Obamacare, repeal Obamacare. The two things that they were chanting at them Trump rallies was build a wall and lock her up. Lock her up seems a little bit more metaphorical at this point, and if Donald Trump did not act now, build a wall might have been metaphorical too. So he decides this is his last moment, his last chance in the sun. Of course, he has zero leverage, but he decides, fuck it, we're going after it. We're going to try and build this wall. So, flash forward after the longest government shutdown in history. And then a 3-week reprieve that was set to end tomorrow. Leadership on both sides negotiated a deal that nobody's happy with. After Nancy Pelosi made a big old show out of not one penny going to the wall, they allocated like $1.8 billion. Now, not for a wall, not for a wall, not for a wall, for fencing. For fencing. On guard. So the left is pissed off. The right, apoplectic. This is the fucking deal, man. This is the art of the deal, the slick deal cutter, the negotiator supreme. Finally, we need to put a businessman in the White House so he stops getting cucked by all these politicians. Politicians don't know about brass balls. Politicians don't know about real deal making. New York City, leather-bound books, mahogany desks. Loosen up the tie. I'm going to give you one final offer. Deal making. Yeah. Yeah, that's why they're going to get Trump in there. Yeah, making some deals. Ain't nobody been able to build a wall. Well, that's before Trump got in there. He's going to do his Trump thing, and he's going to build a wall because he can cut a deal, and Mexico's going to pay for it. Everybody else is a dum-dum face. Trump is the smartest person in the world. Well, he needs probably roughly anywhere between $30 and $50 billion to build what he says he wants. He began the negotiation by saying, I just want 5. And he wound up settling for 1.9. Damn, she fine. Oh, let me rock it with you one more time. Get low, get low, get low, get low. From the window, to no wall. Till the sweat dropped down his balls, there was no adequate amount of money for what he wanted to build. Not at all. And yet, there was always one option. The option that he floated during the shutdown, that he could declare national emergency. Could declare national emergency. He could use money that is allocated to the Pentagon. Roughly $10 billion is what has been floated to build a wall. It seemed like after the shutdown, and we're going to get to the pole dances about how Trump has or has not bounced back from the popularity hit that he took during the shutdown. But after we got the 3-week reprieve, Trump mentioned the idea of a national emergency a little bit less. But then again, we didn't really hear a lot about a deal, a grand bargain. Remember, Jared Kushner was pushing for how about we throw in DACA? How about we throw in even possibly a grander immigration plan here? And despite the fact that the first shutdown that Donald Trump put on, not this one this year in 2019, but in 2018, there apparently was a Dreamer for Wall deal on the table. Now that is no longer the case. So, the deal as of 4:30 p.m. Pacific time is set to be signed by Donald Trump. But so is a national emergency declaration to secure the southern border. So, welcome, friends, to the dawning of new hysteria. We have already seen the reaction come pouring in. But before we get into the reaction, let's do a little educating of ourselves. What would an emergency declaration look like? Well, first let's understand what it is. A national emergency is not quite as rare as you might think. In fact, Trump has already declared 3 of them. This would be his 4th national emergency. In fact, he has declared a national emergency punishing foreign countries from meddling in American elections, which has seemed to have come and gone. There are national emergencies that are lasting back as far as the Iranian hostage negotiation with Carter. So, what exactly can opponents of the national emergency thing do? Well, they can reject it with a simple majority. Either the House or the Senate can reject it with a simple minority or with a simple majority, but then Trump can veto it, at which point both houses would need 2/3 majority, which is likely not going to happen. So, unless there is a legal challenge, which is likely, that is set to tie things up, in the courts, it seems like Trump will be able to take this money. Now, already some of the immigration hawks, including Ann Coulter, who has been furious with Trump about all this, she believes that there is already there's already booby traps in the budget that will prevent Trump from doing this. We are going to find out how all this rubber hits the road within the next 5 or 6 days. But let's take one more step back a little bit. I don't think this is something that many presidents would do. This is a uniquely Donald Trump kind of move to make, because Donald Trump doesn't give a fuck about the consequences. Understand, I can't repeat this enough. The only consequences that Donald Trump cares about is his reelection, at least compared to other presidents. And I'm not saying that in any kind of negative way. I'm just saying this is a fact. This is true. Donald Trump does not come from an established party. Donald Trump does not have people that he cares to make president afterward. If Donald Trump served 2 terms and then Mike Pence came and went, I don't think Trump would lose much sleep about it. In fact, if Mike Pence couldn't win the election, Donald Trump would probably go on television and say, yeah, because he's not me. So, when Nancy Pelosi comes out, as she did today, and says, hey, you should understand the consequences of what you're doing. In fact, this was the exact quote from Nance here today after this news broke. A Democratic president can declare emergencies as well, Pelosi told reporters in the Capitol. So the precedent that the president is setting here is something that should be met with great unease and dismay by Republicans. Pelosi noted that Thursday marked the 1-year anniversary of the shooting at a high school in Parkland, Florida, that left 17 students and faculty dead. She argued that the real national emergency is not illegal border crossings, but gun violence in the United States. Representative Emanuel Cleaver tweeted out, gun violence is a national emergency. Climate change is a national emergency. Income inequality is a national emergency. Access to health care is a national emergency. Building a wall on the southern border is not. I'm here to tell you that those statements are directed solely at Republican congressmen. They're directed at the Marco Rubios of the world, who have said that they were not for a national emergency for exactly these reasons. I'm going to tell you who does not give a fuck about the precedent that he is setting. Donald J. Trump. Because to be honest with you, literally just that quote, literally just that tweet, literally any time a Democratic politician says, when we get in office, we will declare national emergency about these things, and we will take the following actions to secure funding or restrict access to make sure that these things happen. Donald Trump looks at that and says, cool. Now I've got what I'm running on in 2020. If any of these 2020 candidates that are already out here, they're all going to get asked about it, by the way, in the next 72 hours. Corey, Kamala, Elizabeth Warren, Joe Biden, Beto, all of them are going to get asked, would you declare a national emergency for gun violence? Because what Donald Trump has politically done is now create a how far would you go scenario. Oh, you care about gun violence. Oh, you care about income inequality. Oh, you care about climate change. But do you care as much as Donald Trump cares about illegal immigration? Homie, are you willing to risk it all and declare national emergency on one of these subjects? This is the new normal politically, because now somebody's going to say yes. One of these 2020 candidates is going to say, yes, I will. I'm going to run on that. Some will be prudent and say, you know, I, of course, would like to respect the process. I would like to make sure that we work out a kind of legislation between the parties. And then the next thing is, okay, well, are you willing to rule it out? And most will say, no, I'm not willing to rule it out. Of course, Donald Trump will say, hey, look, I didn't want to do this. Y'all watch me. Y'all watch me try to negotiate. The negotiation got as far as, I want to do this, and the other side said not one penny. So there's that. He's not going to sell it as I stepped over my bounds. He's going to frame it as I didn't have partners that wanted to deal with me. Jedi KV says, will Coulter and Hannity be on board? Based on what I've seen, I haven't seen Hannity's reaction, but I've seen some of Coulter's reaction online. She seems skeptical that he'll actually do it. Her new thing is that Trump's a bullshit artist. She said that this was not his Green New Deal, but rather his Yellow New Deal because he's a coward for not doing this earlier. But this is effectively what she said he should have done from the beginning. According to her, this should have been day one. Day one for Trump should have been, all right, national emergency on the border. It is well within my powers as the president to secure the borders. I'm going to do that right now. Thank you very much. Now, let's look at it from the Democratic side, at least the sitting Democrat side. Let's say that legally Donald Trump's able to do this. And legally he's able to seize $10 billion from the Pentagon budget and build a structure on the southern border. That's a win for him. And now the question becomes, if you had a chance, now look, you were going to be giving a win to Donald Trump, right? Hindsight, of course, is 2020. If he builds the fucking wall anyway, and you had a chance to do a wall for DACA deal, and now DACA is insecure, and there's no give back from the immigration hawks to get it done at all, did you fuck up? Did you basically bet on Trump bluffing that he wouldn't declare a national emergency, that he would just take this big fat L and have to suck on it and like it and lose? Because that dude doesn't care about precedent. He doesn't care about the Democratic president coming after him. Because in his mind, the next president that comes after him, he's going to be term limited and he can't get it anyway because he thinks he's going to win. And for all my Democratic listeners here, is that something that should weigh on Chuck and Nancy? Should Chuck and Nancy be looked at as the people that could have saved DACA and didn't? Because they desperately wanted to not give Donald Trump a single win. Because it's better to run on the platform of DACA than to actually get something done. Because that's some shit. This is something that I think happens on a lot. There's a lot of issues that politicians would rather keep yelling about because it gets people to the polls than actually fix. The difference is that, like, DACA's lives. Like, these are people that might be fucking deported. You know, and not to England like 21 Savage. Now, Drench Wildfire says it's kind of like it's better to run on the platform of building a wall than actually trying to build a wall. I mean, that would be more like George W. Bush. George W. Bush ran on the idea of securing the southern border a little bit. And then he kind of did. But he didn't really give a fuck about it. Trump, I think, does. I mean, he literally started a fucking government shutdown with zero leverage because the clock was running out. And now he's going to declare national emergency and fucking take money from the Pentagon. Do you know how poorly the Pentagon receives news of having to have money parted from them? They don't fucking like it. Snake CL in our chat says, Dem here, I feel like if Trump wins this in such a manner, it'll galvanize opposition to him further. I mean, sure. I don't know how much more of a villain he can become, but I guess we'll find out. But his modus operandi, and has been since the primaries, is I don't give a fuck who's against me. I give a fuck about who's for me. And the people that are for me, they want me to build this fucking wall really bad. This is a great time to let you guys know that if you want updates on this kind of story, if you want to know what's going on with these kinds of issues, then there's only one place you need to head right now if you ain't already headed over there. That is the Free Political Newsletter at freepoliticalnewsletter.com. It's free. It's political. It's a newsletter. 5 stories, 5 days a week. Minor hot takes, mostly gifts. But if you want to have a great mobile-first, mobile-friendly way, a little digest every morning to understand politics without it going into a gigantic, head-spinning, bizarre confirmation bias theater, this is the place to go. Free Political Newsletter at freepoliticalnewsletter.com. And by Free Political Newsletter, just go to freepoliticalnewsletter.com, sign up. If you already get the Free Political Newsletter, do me a favor. Look in your spam folder, or if you're in Gmail, look in the promotions tab and just click not a promotion. It greatly helps. Or if you already are a subscriber to it, email me back. So I can, it just helps with the algorithm to make sure that it always gets right there into your regular old inbox and not in with all the other coupons and flyers. Because I'm not trying to sell you nothing. I'm just really trying to tell you the news for free. One more big story that I wanted to talk about, and that is the Green New Deal. This has been a less than stellar rollout for the Green New Deal, but it is indicative of a few major trends. If you're unfamiliar with what the Green New Deal is, it is sweeping, and I do mean sweeping legislation designed to stem the tide of what is viewed as a runaway ecological disaster. Climate change, specifically, is the biggest thing. It has very ambitious goals of getting us to carbon neutral in like 10 years. Now, when I say that it's been a bad rollout, what I mean is this. Initially, a version of the Green New Deal went out to reporters, and it had some boneheaded verbiage in it. It referred to farting cows, specifically that there needed to be a way to control the farting cows. It also said that there needed to be a program put in place for people that were unable or unwilling to work. That version was then disavowed by the authors of it, including the ascendant superstar Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who, by the way, will be the first guest on the revamped Desus and Mero show. So, in before Ocasio-Cortez tells Mick Mulvaney to suck her dick from the back. But that version was then said, "Oh, this is a smear. We never wrote this. This was a right-wing smear trying to just take the piss out of this deal. This is the real version that we just published. And then the reporters came back and were like, you actually sent that. You guys sent that to us, so we know that was you sent us that version. Bad. But let's get to what the topic is right now. Because, like I said, ascendant superstar Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She is the one to know, the one to be around. Men want to be with her and women want to be her. She is a supernova. She is a centrifugal force. People orbiting around the pulsating, radiating star power of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Almost all of the 2020 hopefuls have endorsed the Green New Deal. Many of them are in the Senate, including Cory Booker, Amy Klobuchar, Elizabeth Warren, Kirsten Gillibrand. So, that sly motherfucking turtle, Cocaine Mitch says, oh, well, it seems as if a lot of people really like this Green New Deal. We think this Green New Deal is ridiculous. So, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and call that motherfucker to a vote right now. Mitch McConnell says that he's going to call for a vote on the Green New Deal. This is basically going to make all these people running for president right now put their money where their mouth is on whether or not they would actually vote for it. Now, politically, here's what this does. Politically, you know when you watch those like grainy black and white ads, and it's like Kirsten Gillibrand, is unwise with money. Like old tax and spend Gillibrand wants your money to give it to people who don't work. In fact, she voted yes on legislation that initially said people unwilling to work should get a paycheck. I think we should all be unwilling to work. Paid for by somebody who wants to talk shit about Kirsten Gillibrand. Like that. This is where shit like that comes from, by the way. So what Mitch McConnell looks at this as is, oh, all right, well, there's a lot of very far-reaching shit in here. And I think it's all really cool that y'all are into supporting this as a general idea that, yes, we should think big picture about climate change. But if you're not super cool with all the really far-reaching shit in here, then you're going to have to either sell out your principles or put your name on it with a vote, which means that people are going to be able to hold you to that vote. So now the question becomes, does this actually come to a vote? Which it's Mitch McConnell's the Senate Majority Leader. He's allowed to bring whatever he wants to a vote. And how will the 2020 hopefuls vote on it? Because there's a lot of senators. A lot of senators here. I just think it is amazing that both parties seem to love this bill. Both parties seem to love this bill. Love is in the air. It is indeed Valentine's Day. It is indeed Valentine's Day, and love is absolutely in the air. And yet, even then, we can't seem to have any. We can't. This is why we can't have nice things. We just can't. All right. There's a lot of other stories that I want to get to, but we're going to try to blast through them as fast as possible. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what I call the bulletin. Okay. Beto might be running for Senate now. Oh, wait, hold on, wait. I did have this. I'm gonna use this as my beginning for the bulletin. Beto might be running for Senate. Apparently, Beto O'Rourke met with Chuck Schumer yesterday to see whether or not he's going to run for Texas Senate again. I don't know what this dude is doing. Beto had a counter rally against Donald Trump's rally in El Paso. This is another thing that I'm really not in love with, the idea that we are going to be talking about crowd size for the next forever, the next 2 years. But here's the story from Politico. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer met with former Texas Representative Beto O'Rourke last week to discuss the possible 2020 Senate campaign against Senator John Cornyn, according to sources familiar with the meeting. O'Rourke, a Democrat who narrowly lost to Senator Ted Cruz in 2018, is considering running for president, but hasn't publicly discussed running for Senate in 2020, but he hasn't ruled it out. It would be very curious, and this might be Beto O'Rourke looking ahead, but also it doesn't exactly read as tremendously confident if you're like, oh, I'm going to run for president, but also, I'm going to also think about running for Senate, in case this, but it's in the same year. It's in the same term. I don't know. Does anybody feel great about Beto? Where are my Beto people? Do you believe in Beto? Are you a Beto believer? Beto believe it. Go ahead and email me, theyoungamerican@gmail.com. I'm done talking about fucking Beto. Joe Biden is definitely running. At least this is according to The Hill. He is 90% in. This, according to people close to him. Former Vice President Joe Biden is almost certain to enter the 2020 election, according to sources familiar with his plans. It's pretty clear he's jumping in, quote unquote, said one source with direct knowledge of the would-be campaign's moves, adding that he's 95% there. In recent days, Biden has sought to build support from grassroots activists and specifically asking donors for their help in the lead up to their announcement. In phone conversations, Biden has been making the case for why he'd be the best candidate in what is already a crowded field. Here's the fact. He's coming off a great midterm, said Robert Wolf, a Democratic mega donor, who confirmed he spoke to Biden on a 25-minute call on Wednesday. Quote, he has been the most popular surrogate during the midterms and one of the only surrogates that can play in all 50 states, and that has given him a lot of confidence that he can do well in a national election. He can campaign everywhere, and that's certainly what many people would say is an incredible strength for him. I know I just bitched about the fact that crowd size is going to be something that we're going to talk about a lot, but Kamala Harris set that bar at 20K. What do you think Joe Biden's crowd has to be? Because both Elizabeth Warren, by picking a fairly small a physical area that she could do her announcement, and Amy Klobuchar over the weekend, who picked a goddamn snowstorm, intentionally took some of that I need to draw 20K people pressure off themselves. If Biden's going to come in and big dick the rest of the field, he's got to have a lot of people. He's got to have a lot of people. And to be totally honest, if he really wants to come in, if he really wants to make waves, I think he's got to have Obama with him sooner rather than later. Former FBI Director McCabe has done an interview with 60 Minutes. In it, he is plugging his new book. He talks about a lot of stuff up to and including the fact that he tried to soft organize a 25th Amendment push to remove Donald Trump from office. This is McCabe in his own words on CBS this morning, teasing his 60 Minutes interview.
To the man who had just run for the presidency and won the election for the presidency.
and who might have done so with the aid of the government of Russia, our most formidable adversary on the world stage. And that was something that troubled me greatly.
How long was it after that you decided to start the obstruction of justice and counterintelligence investigations involving the president?
I think the next day I met with the team investigating the Russia cases, and I asked the team to go back and conduct an assessment to determine where are we with these efforts and what steps do we need to take going forward. I was very concerned that I was able to put the Russia case on absolutely solid ground in an indelible fashion, that were I removed quickly or reassigned or fired, that the case could not be closed or vanish in the night without a trace. I wanted to make sure that our case was on solid ground, and if somebody came in behind me and closed it and tried to walk away from it, they would not be able to do that without creating a record of why they'd made that decision.
You wanted a documentary record.
That's right.
That those investigations had begun because you feared that they would be made to go away.
That's exactly right.
The White House.
That was Andrew McCabe talking. This is Scott Pelley talking about what he found most fascinating about that interview, specifically the 25th Amendment shit.
These 8 days in May, when all of these things were happening behind the scenes that the American people really didn't know about. There were meetings at the Justice Department in which it was discussed whether the vice president and a majority of the cabinet could be brought together to remove the president of the United States under the 25th Amendment. These were the 8 days from Comey's firing to the point that Robert Mueller was appointed special counsel. And the highest levels of American law enforcement were trying to figure out what to do with the president.
And I just want to put a...
All right. Let me just say this. I have, in general, found Donald Trump's handling with law enforcement to be distasteful. Little gross, little weird. It's not my not my cup of tea. Now, I know that there's a lot of interagency shit. I know that there's a lot of interoffice shit. I know that there's a lot of back and forth, and you don't get to that level of national service without having a little ego on you, and some dick swordplay might be there, to exist. However, if that dude is on record saying he was running around the White House trying to figure out how to remove a president months into office, whew. Like, it does at least confirm to me that, that people were legit out to get him. People were legit. I mean, I had always heard that as more of a theoretical thing that could happen. That dude was actually trying to do it, then, I don't know. It kind of made Trump seem slightly less crazy to me. Apparently, according to Chris Christie, Donald Trump only gives nicknames to people that he does not respect. This is in press for his new book. Chris Christie says, one thing to watch is to see which of the 2020 candidates Trump gives a nickname to. Quote, if he respects you, you don't get a nickname because he's afraid of what's going to come back. So Crying Chuck Schumer gets a nickname because Trump has no respect for Schumer. But Nancy Pelosi's got no nickname. It's just Nancy. And if she doesn't have a nickname by now, she ain't getting any. I'll tell you what. Now, that might be the only sign of respect that not getting any on Valentine's Day would get somebody. And finally, this is the big news here in my mind today, aside from all of the conversation around the national emergency. William Barr is your new American Attorney General. He takes the position for the second time in his life, once during the Bush 41 White House. The Senate voted on him 54-45 to confirm it. The rumor is that William Barr, who is a friend of Robert Mueller, it was only after Barr took over as Attorney General that Mueller would want to release his report. So if we are also right to say that this is close to being over, March? Mueller madness? March? Mueller report in March? Double M? M&M? Mueller March? March and Mueller? I don't know. It seems likely, though. It seems more likely now than it has been. We might be actually getting a Mueller report. I'm ready. My body is ready. My body's ready for the Mueller report. I just need it here. I just want it. Do you want it? Just email me. Do you want it? Do you want it? Yes or no? I just want to know if you want it. I want it. I'm tired of the cat and mouse and the dude, the beep it up. If there's some shit, I want to know some shit. I need it. I want it. Everybody does. You love it. You want it. You know you want it. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, there is only one way that we like to figure out how to break down data science. And specifically with everything that's swirling around, the Mueller report possibly about to drop, the shutdown, the national emergency, there is one gauge to see how much damage this has done to the President of the United States. Which is why we break things down like this. Ladies and gentlemen, please break that $100 bill into one, because this is the Politics President Approval Rating. Poll! Dance, 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 dance. This is a Fox News poll from February 10th to February 12th with a sample of 1,004 registered voters. Coming up first to the stage with 46% of the vote, it is, in regards to President Trump's handling of his duties, but your headliner, with 52% of the vote, it is Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that is 46% for approve, 42% disapprove. It's a 6-point spread. All right, folks, let's go ahead and get into but your emails. You can go ahead and email the show just go ahead and send an email to theyoungamerican@gmail.com. Again, theyoungamerican@gmail.com. Sistro writes in, on Tuesday's morning stream, you talked about how each side of the political aisle has mascots and that they defend because of common ideology and attack mascots of opposing ideology. You said that we've always had them, but these days they are created at internet speed. I was thinking of a great example of the odious David Hogg held up by the left in spite of his lack of intellectual ability because he is an anti-gun talking point parrot, and Kyle Kashut, a bright, exceptional young man that is a great advocate for freedom and liberty. Neither of which have been heard from outside of their high school, if not for the horrific attack there and the mainstream media's elevation of one to attack our Bill of Rights, and the other as a counter by center-right media to counter that influence. They are both effectively mascots, and by my email, you can probably guess which one I agree with. I just enjoyed your insight on this because we are now at an age where every issue we choose a side and back an avatar on our side, often ignoring other aspects of that avatar that we don't like in order to back our team. This is America in 2019. So yeah, I don't disagree with you there. I do disagree with your characterization of David Hogg. I don't quite think he's as bad as you think. I do think that Kyle Kashut deserves to have his opinion heard, probably more than it is. Juan Make says, oof, odious is a fair and balanced phrase, right? I think that's his point. His point is that he obviously has a very strong opinion. Me, I want to stand for both those boys because I know what it's like to grow up as a as a Broward Public High School student. I know what my opinions were in high school, and if something were to happen in my high school, I have a lot of patience for both of them. I believe that they should be able to say whatever the fuck they want, as long as people keep throwing a microphone in front of their face. I love South Florida public school kids talking shit because it's literally the way I've made my living. But I want to give them a wide berth. I think calling a high school kid odious is fucked up for me. That goes far to me because that man's caught up in a whirlwind. I want to support wherever that guy ends up. I hope he goes, I think he's going to Harvard or something like that. I don't know. It just seems weird to me. But that was my point. My point was that we make mascots very quickly, and we like to destroy them, and we like to build them up. It used to be like, we used to build them up to tear them down. Now we can just get new mascots. We don't even need to tear them down. They're disposable mascots. They show up in our life. We buy the T-shirt. We cheer them. We buy their book. And then we get them the fuck off the stage. New mascot. Oh, for those of you who don't know, David Hogg and Kyle Kashut were students at Parkland High School, at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas in Parkland, where 1 year ago there was a deadly shooting by a piece of shit. And so David Hogg has had tremendous media coverage because he has wanted to speak out a lot. And to me, that is his total fucking right. He deserves to do it. And Kyle Kashut is somebody that David Hogg has come out in a very pro-gun control position. And Kyle Kashut, who was also at that high school, says he is for the Second Amendment. To me, they both... I never survived a high school shooting. Let the kids talk. Justin writes, I am loving your interviews, especially the last one with Jack Allison. It felt like he had a really good grasp of the show. Go listen to my interview with Jack Allison. We talked all about political comedy, why it kind of sucks right now. And I really liked it. We got a couple cool interviews coming up next week, including one with a rabbi. We're going to be talking with a rabbi about navigating the idea of talking about PACs and Jewish donors without traipsing into the land of anti-Semitism. How do we say rich Jewish people are giving money to the causes they believe in without trafficking in anti-Semitism. Because I think it's something that we all can deserve a refresher course on. But I love Jack Allison. If you like the Jack Allison episode, please go ahead and check that out. All right. Isaac writes, Justin, please explain why spending any money on a wall isn't unthinkable if the U.S. deficit is $22 trillion. I love how people now give a fuck about the national debt. Like, let's all act like the national debt hasn't been unconscionably high forever. Right? It's like we are just, because we've stopped giving a fuck. We long ago stopped giving a fuck, but we really don't give a fuck now. We really do not give a shit now. Oh my God, do we not give a shit now? I mean, like, we have a national debt of $22 trillion, and we're talking about gigantic entitlements. And this is Trump, too. So, yeah, Donald Trump wants to drop, if he had his druthers, he'd drop $50 billion on a wall. He didn't give a fuck. We just don't care about the national deficit. I would love to. I would love to care about the national deficit. But that would mean that people wouldn't get what they want. And nobody wants to be in that business. Everybody wants to be in the you're getting what you want. What would you like? You're getting it. We're America. Put it on our tab. Eric writes, loving the interview so far. I hope you don't go deep dive, but one every week or 2 weeks would be fun. I do come here for the jokes, and I will steal your line of how Virginia is this blackface story. So I think ultimately I'll wind up doing probably one interview a week, but some of them are like they wind up getting a little bit too in the moment, and so I just need to release it. And I'm just trying to get a sense of what kind of interviews we want to do. So bear with me as we put out a lot of them, but this is me getting my sea legs here. Speaking of trafficking or not trafficking in anti-Semitism, Scale writes in, Omar is an anti-Semite, but anti-Semitism has changed. So here's the thing. Yes, Ilhan Omar is an anti-Semite, but you have to understand this isn't your granddaddy's anti-Semitism. This is the new anti-Semitism. It's the anti-Semitism that grew out of the intersectional left. Boiled down, it's really quite simple. Jews are, on average, rich and successful, but they are also very quote-unquote white-looking. The left doesn't like this. They like the Palestinians, who are, on average, poor, unsuccessful, and very quote-unquote brown-looking. Who is right on the whole Israeli-Palestinian thing? Doesn't matter. Intersectionalism dictates that brown poverty trumps white affluence. So, Omar is, quote, boycott, divest, and sanction, and Palestine shall be free from the river to the sea because she has to. It's the rules. 2 legs bad, 4 legs good. I don't agree with your opinion on it. I don't think that that's quite what it is. But I do think that there is an element of nobody hearing each other's argument. And that's why I wanted to read the email. Michael writes, I really like the special interviews on the PX3 podcast. Makes for a good variety from your normal one mic shows. Excellent discussions. Keep up the good work. Eric writes, I am a black Virginian male. It's also important because of the many reports going down about my state. Also, let me state for the record, I am anti-removing anyone from office. A, what the governor and attorney general did, a.k.a. blackface, was damn near 30 years ago. It's sad that we have to hold people accountable for something done during our days of suffering from YDS. I don't know quite what YDS means. Somebody look it up to make sure it isn't horrifying. Hell, if that's the case, then no one should run for office because everyone has something silly that they've done tucked away in their secret place. Now let me talk about the lieutenant governor. I'm sick and tired of women right now. More importantly, I'm almost scared of them. This climate makes getting into a relationship not even worth it. They'll be in love until we forget Valentine's Day on Thursday, and then bam, me too, motherfucker. So I just wanted to share. I don't know if you've gotten a Virginian's perspective before. Man, Eric, number one, I am very glad that you wrote in. As a black Virginian, it does matter. That last paragraph is a yikes from me, dog. Look. I very much believe that we have in the past. Wait, let me start here. I can understand and empathize from a male perspective, an element of not understanding where the rules are. Where you are trying to figure out, like, okay, well, have I ever done anything fucked up? There are new rules now. Have I always played by the rules? Did I run afoul of the rules? If I did run afoul of the rules and I didn't know that I was running afoul of the rules, what are the consequences for me? Should I self-report? Should I wait until justice finds me? Is this now going to happen? Is there a vindictive element of it? I understand that emotion. I get it. However, let's understand why there are new rules. The reason that there are new rules is because people are coming out and talking about what makes them uncomfortable. This, by and large, is a great thing in the long run for you, the selfish perspective of the man. Trust me. The reason why this is happening is because there was not a culture in which women could speak up. And so, therefore, things would happen. They would cross the line, and it would lay dormant until years and years and years later. What you want is a society. What you want is a culture that deals with these things closer to the moment. Unfortunately, we are at a period of reckoning right now. And it's very, 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 any kind of complaints by men at this particular moment is going to fall on deaf ears. Because it's kind of heard by the other side as, oh, it's no fun when the rabbit has the gun. It's for the best, though. I'm just saying, calm down, listen as much as you can. I don't think that people are getting Me Too'd for forgetting Valentine's Day. So there we go. If you want to go ahead and email the show, theyoungamerican@gmail.com. Music has been provided by Valesco and Trop Killers. Follow me at Justin R. Young everywhere. Download archived episodes of this show at bonerwars.com. Friends, that brings us to the end. I want to thank you all for coming along, for listening. Hey, shout us out on Spotify. Go find us on Spotify. If you listen to Spotify, even if you don't listen to podcasts on there, just find Politics on Spotify. I want to see if we can get our discoverability a little higher on there. Come join our Discord, bit.ly/jury Discord. It's a great place to talk politics. Support us. TakePoliticsSeriously.com. That about wraps it up for me. Till next time, some shows talk about politics. Others talk about politics. I heard one that talked about politics yesterday, but this one, it's the only one that talks about all three.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.